Today we're going over the May 2023 market update. I know a lot of you are following my monthly updates and tracking the different numbers I go over, so today will be no different. So we will talk through that. I'll actually give some resources that you might be able to turn to just to maybe get some more information. I always think it's wise to have multiple sources to be able to go to. So before we get into that, as always, subscribe to the channel, like my videos, share it with your friends. Just trying to be a resource. I am releasing this week my first-time homebuyer series. There's going to be a bunch of shorts for first-time homebuyers, and I'm going to be doing some other videos for first-time homebuyers. So check that out. But let's get into it. So the question we always ask, how many homes are on the market? And the answer is 11,991. Now, if you looked at last month's video in April, we were at, I think we were at just over 13,000, 13,100, I think. So again, we've dropped about 1,000. So we've been averaging about 1,000 to 1,500 homes that we've been dropping every month. It's no different now. We've dropped about 1,200 homes from last month. So again, supply and demand. And the resource I'll talk about later is Dave Ramsey actually talks about this. And he's a very good source to be able to listen to. So what does that mean? The market is heating up. And people go, wait, really? But we're about to go into a recession maybe. We don't know. There's unknowns in the economy and interest rates are high. That's all very true. But supply and demand, like I say every month, is king. Because when people see not that many homes, oh man, I need to go buy. Plus, interest rates are kind of baked into the cake right now. We're sitting around 6.5%, and people have kind of gotten used to that. And they keep hearing from everybody that interest rates are going to be coming down as inflation cools down. So that's something to consider. So 11,991, it is getting competitive. Now, the homes that are being competitive are the homes that are fully remodeled. Everything's done. You hardly have to do anything. Those houses, 3 days, gone. Just like 2021, 3 days. I actually had a house where I was offering in Tempe, and we lost by $20,000. They went, now, personally, I think the agent put the house a little bit lower than they should have, so that's a grain of salt. But, we offered somewhere in the realm of 610, and they ended up closing at like 625, 630. Or accepting the offer. They didn't close yet. But it's one of those that, now that house was immaculate. They had done a lot of high quality things to it. And it was in a very desired area. That one was in Tempe. So it's one of those that, in highly desired areas, Peoria, Glendale, North Phoenix, a lot of, or even, Mesa, Gilbert, Chandler, if you're in great areas and your house is fully remodeled, you can make some good money. And if you play your cards right as an agent, we can make our clients more money because we priced it well. So a lot of the houses that are still sitting, our average days on market is about 70. So with our average days on market being that, it's because I can't tell you how many homes I've seen where they've priced it way too high and the house needs a ton of work. And you're like, what are you doing? So there are still some of those homes out there. And really, I've actually started telling even some first-time home buyers, hey, you shouldn't necessarily be just looking for a fully immaculate home. If you can afford one, great. But for a lot of first-time home buyers, they may not be able to afford that. Maybe you have to get a house and work on it and make it better. And that's how buying a house typically has been done. You buy something, you make it better over time in 5, 6, 7 years. You sell it, make some equity, get a better house. We're starting to get back to that. Just with where interest rates are and everything. So let's talk interest rates real quick. So right now they're at 6.69. And again, they vary. So I know that the inflation report just came back in, and I know that it's down from our peak. We were at highs of 7-8% inflation. I think now we're around 5%, if I remember right. And again, the target for inflation is 2%. So we're still high. We're still over double what inflation should be. So it's one of those that we still have a ways to go for inflation to come down. Obviously, the Fed has said they're going to raise rates, and they're not, then they are, then they're not. They're going to go back and forth. That's going to mess with the economy a little bit. But as we've talked about history, I was trying to find the graphic, and I couldn't find it. But in history, not every time we have a recession or a downward, with the economy, doesn't necessarily mean that the housing market's going down. I've had people tell me, I'm waiting for it to crash. And listen, could there be a crash in the future? I can't predict the future, so I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Is there one in the near future? Probably not, because of supply and demand. Unless all of a sudden we get tons of houses on the market, it's just not happening. People were starting to say, oh, foreclosures are going up. Foreclosures are still below pre-pandemic levels. Like we don't even have as many as 2020 or earlier. We don't even have nearly as many still. So there's not those fears, but I think a lot of people are kind of anticipating, hey, interest rates are going to be down in the next 2 years, so I'm going to buy now. And then I'll just refinance in the next 2 years. There's a lot of lenders that are offering free refinancing if you do your loan with them right now. So there's different things going on. So, we're still seeing some, if you're not buying a fully immaculate home, we're still seeing you're able to negotiate some. Now, you don't have as much leverage, but you do have some leverage still. So I've gotten some concessions for interest rates, but now what we're starting to see is instead of, here's a purchase price, we're offering a little bit below purchase price, and then asking for concessions. Now it's like, well, maybe you're offering purchase price or a little above purchase price to get your 2-3% to buy down your interest rate. So it just varies right now. But the market is competitive. And again, I said, once we get 10,000, it gets very, very competitive on a lot of homes. Right now, we're still seeing the homes that aren't fully immaculate. They might sit for a couple weeks, maybe 1-2 weeks, but they're not sitting for that long. So something to pay attention to. Obviously, if you're looking to buy or sell soon, let's have a conversation. Would love to have a conversation about that stuff because honestly, it varies on where you guys are in your life right now. Because again, not everyone's the same. Some people might need to buy or sell right now. Some people may not. So another resource I was just going to give you, if you want to look up Dave Ramsey, it's called "Is Dave Ramsey Still Right About the Housing Market Not Crashing?" And the reason I bring that up is just because a lot of people have said, oh, are there reliable sources? There's a lot of people, I know Barry Habib talks a lot about inflation and what that means for interest rates. So you can look up Barry Habib. You can look up, Dave Ramsey's another one. He talks some about the housing market and whatnot. And there's a couple others. And so it's one of those that really looking for reliable sources. There's a lot of people on TikTok and Instagram and stuff. They may or may not know what they're talking about. But looking for people who have been doing this for quite some time, that's kind of who I look to for people who are reliable and actually have a good track record. So they talk a little bit about what the housing market looks like, and they talk a lot about supply and demand. All of them do. So it's one of those that you really kind of have to make sure that you're paying attention. Another one would be Brian Buffini. He talks some about this, even just more in a business sense. So if you want to check that out. But guys, as always, if I can be of help, or if you know someone that's looking to buy, sell, or invest, I would love to have a conversation with them just to educate them on where the market is, what's best for them right now. Maybe that is buying, maybe that is not buying or selling. So here to be a resource, here to help. Hope you guys will reach out if you need me. You've been listening to The Real.